Welcome to Game Day on Sports Radio WSBT and Sunny 101.5. Thank you also for joining us via the WSBTradio.com and the WSBT Radio app, or you can catch us on YouTube at Sports Radio WSBT. Man, you can't get enough of that. Those calls and stuff. Those guys get so excited, Jim.
Right?
I love it. Love it.
So good.
One common thread through all the different venues that we're coming through is your 22nd ranked Fighting Irish take on the Arkansas Razorbacks today at 12 noon for another must win. Will our defense issues and problems be cured? Will this be another high scoring game? If so, which team has the advantage? We'll try to give you some answers as we analyze last week's game and what the prospects are for today's game. Including in today's show will be interviews with former Notre Dame NFL offensive lineman Chris Stewart and former Indy NFL wide receiver Michael Floyd. And we'll have another segment of our Fighting Irish Stratego in our session of music and football. And when I say we, I mean I'm Tim Grau along with Jim Arizari, and then the senior writer for blueandgold.com, Eric Hansen, and the Indy beat writer for Blue and Gold, Tyler Horka. Tyler, I think I've been out already last night or whatever. How about you?
No, not really. I got into Arkansas a little late, so I had a singular beer at Chili's to go along with some chips and salsa and some chicken fajitas, and now I'm up bright and early, ready to go.
Living that tourist life.
Yeah. Eric, how are you this morning?
Caffeinated.
Yeah, there you go, Eric.
My daughter just called me out I put on my Facebook page last night to grab your coffee and join the show, and she said she called a foul on me because I don't drink coffee. She says, Dad, you can't talk about coffee if you don't drink it. So
how do you not drink coffee?
I don't know.
Every time
I've ever tried it.
I'm
a very, very rare coffee drinker. It's out of necessity, not out of I think America has a caffeine addiction. There's my thesis, and we can talk about that some other time.
That's a hot take right there.
And Eric, I bet you have a lot of caffeinated times during the week, don't you?
There you go.
My Pete Chabrelli mug.
There you go.
Well, let's get started by looking at last week a little bit and see what's going on. Let's go around the horn and just get a first impression of last week's game, and then we'll dive a little deeper into the problems and the good things too. Eric, how about you?
Yeah, I thought it was a good step forward in a lot of ways, and you could even throw the defense in there if you included just the second half beyond the lightning delay. There were some good things against a run-poor team. The offense looked like the video that Mike Denbrock shows recruits from LSU, what he thinks that Notre Dame offense will eventually look like. We saw a lot of great signs of that. CJ Carr had a pass efficiency rating of almost 300 in the game. Running game was amazing. They got some good snaps in from some players pressed into action. Dallas Golden and Mark Zachary and Eric Schmidt, some freshmen. And so overall step in the right direction, but work still needs to be done, and we'll find out how much work today against Arkansas.
Tyler, what do you think about last games before we get in detail about it?
Yeah, when Eric started off there and he said video, I was like, oh, I like this, because I thought he was going to say video game. It looked like Notre Dame's offense was playing a video game against Purdue, nearly flawless. And you say that, and it's like, yeah, can a team really be that close to perfect? And look at the drive chart. Yeah, it was. They were scoring at will, pretty much a touchdown every single time they touched the ball. I think CJ Carr has a lot to do with that. We talked a lot about the running backs in that game. Jeremiah Love, Jadarian Price, 6 touchdowns, all the yards that they racked up together. And it does kind of start there, but you need a quarterback to be able to not turn the ball over, make the easy throws. He makes the intermediate throws look easy, and then he makes the downfield passes that are really, really hard look pretty easy too. So the game's coming to him at a very good clip right now. I think he's seeing it well. He feels it well. And it starts with the running backs, the quarterback, the offensive line playing better, all of the things up front there. But then defensively, I'm sure we're going to talk a lot about that in this show. 30 points against Purdue is not the step forward that you were hoping that unit was going to take. It did look better in the second half, like Eric said, and I really do think that was a large part of Notre Dame getting to the quarterback. Junior Tuihalamaka had a great second half. Cole Mullins comes in and plays really good football on the defensive line. So on that side of the ball, it absolutely starts up front, and Notre Dame needs to see more of what it saw in the second half going forward.
Hey, Jim, what are you thinking there? You had a post-game show that was after a win.
I know, right? It hadn't happened yet. I was pleasantly surprised. Not that surprised, but the two-headed monster came back. J Love and Jadarian Price, looking like last year almost. 5 touchdowns between the two of them. Like, you can't ask for any more out of 2 guys. And then to have, to Tyler's point, the way that the offense has just been looking in general, like every week it's gotten better. Every week it's like you see something new, something that got fixed, something that got even added, and then also working at the same time. I just wish the defense would do that.
Right.
I just wish the defense would do that. So, but also, special teams was working too, even without the regular kicker. I mean, all that stuff, anything that predominantly puts points up on the board was working. Everything that was supposed to not allow points up on the board, improvement. They forced turnovers, they got sacks, but you still gave up 30 to Purdue.
Yeah, got a ways to go, don't we?
So,
Eric, so we're 2-0 for rain lightning delays. Did they have hot dogs in the locker room this time?
They did not, at least not for Jadarian Price, but he was inspired by Audric Estime's lightning delay hot dog from NC State. Yeah, that was the 5th weather delay in Notre Dame football history and the 3rd one at Notre Dame Stadium. So we've had delays the last 3 years, 1 on the road, 2 at Notre Dame Stadium. And so, yeah, you wonder if they just rubbed dirt on it before 2011 because there were no weather delays then. So,
Tyler, how was the crowd after the rain delay, lightning delay?
I would say those who stuck around were in it to be in it, and that was cool to see. But
A lot of
the student section probably diminished by 50%. I think only half of the kids came back, and that was probably indicative of the entire stadium too. A lot of empty seats, but shoot, man, it was a 2-hour delay almost. Like, I was sitting up there, just kind of counting on my fingers, trying to do something to keep me occupied up there. It was tough. So, but hey, with beer sales, I thought maybe, I don't know when they cut those off, but I thought maybe more people would be enticed to stay in the stadium. But of course, you could probably get it a lot cheaper if you just go back to your tailgate or your Airbnb or whatever. But yeah, it was a good crowd to start for a Purdue game at 3:30, coming off of a primetime game against Texas A&M. And then, like I said, everyone who kind of waited out the weather, they were treated to a pretty good second half on both sides of the ball, which is not a given for this football team right now.
Yeah, I had heard that the concessions actually got shut down during the delay.
What?
Yeah, like I just read that online. It's not a substantiated report, but I saw it on a couple of Reddit threads, and apparently people were not exactly thrilled about the concession situation.
Well, I would leave too in that situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't think you guys had a problem up in the press box. They kept replenishing the food, I take it, Eric?
I don't know if replenishing. We did eat during the lightning delay. There usually is food there at halftime, and they had these lightning delay green beans that were out of this world.
only the best during a delay.
It seems like it's only success after lightning or rain delays, I guess, with the Fighting Irish one way or the other.
It made me write better stories, I'll tell you that.
This is Game Day on Sports Radio WSBT. Tim Grau alongside Jim Arizari, the senior writer for blueandgold.com, Eric Hansen, and the indie beat writer for blueandgold.com, Tyler Horka. You haven't left your location yet, I take it, Tyler?
Yeah, this time change. I love Central Time, don't get me wrong, but 7:12 a.m. is pretty early to be on the radio, let alone do a lot of other things. So I think we're looking to get out of here. I'm with our photographer, Chad Weaver. I think we're getting out of here in probably the next 10, 15 minutes to head down to the stadium. I think we're only about half hour away.
You, sir, should shadow me during the week.
Yeah, see, look, man, I every time I get in my car to go do something early and the radio automatically comes on the dial and these people sound chipper doing their radio shows and whatnot, I respect and commend all of those people because I am not a morning person in the slightest.
Okay, do you want me to slow down my talk?
I'm good. Maybe I need one of Eric Hansen's cups of coffee.
There you go. All right, Eric, let's start with you.
I'm going for an NIL deal with my coffee.
There you go.
So how many years is that contract for you?
The NIL deal, it's 0 right now. I'm trying to get somebody to be interested in sponsoring that. I do have some nice mugs, though.
All right. You got good albums and good mugs there in that room. Hey, Larry,
Yes.
Let's break down a little closer now the problems and just call it out for what it is. Let's start with the defensive line and give us a little bit of your analysis of that.
I was watching Greg McElroy's analysis. I think he's as good as there is on any channel, on any media. And he actually picked Arkansas to win this game. And he is really behind the Irish in terms of, he thought this would be a Final Four team this year. But he had a stat in there. It's not just the lack of sacks for Notre Dame. They're 127th out of 136 teams in terms of getting even any amount of pressure, the first pressure felt by a quarterback, the slowest time in getting a quarterback. I mean, before they even have to think about scrambling. And for me, that's where it starts. I think that, one of the reasons you've seen such a huge fall from number 1 in pass efficiency to a team that's in the hundreds in one season with a lot of the same people and some really talented people and the best DBs coach in the country is because of what's not happening up front. In their defense, I guess pun intended, is the run defense was much better. I thought the defensive line had a good day in terms of run defense, but getting after the quarterback or at least hurrying him today, and this is as good a quarterback in terms of running the ball, in terms of scrambling, in terms of being a potential nightmare as I think there is in the country. I think Taylon Green is in that upper echelon of how do we get pressure on this guy.
Tyler, your take on last week's defensive line, rotation of players coming in and out. Have we found a combination that works yet?
Yeah, I think Gabriel Rubio is someone that Notre Dame needs to invest heavily in on the interior. I think in terms of guys who play on the inside, he can do both as well as anyone on this team. He can get you to the quarterback. And I keep going back to the interception that Christian Gray had. Madden Faremo, of course, makes an exceptional play in coverage there over the middle. But if you guys watch that slowed down replay, that thing almost hits Gabriel Rubio's bicep, helmet, hand, like he was right there ready to make a play himself. I guess fortunately for Notre Dame, he didn't, because it does end up in the arms of Christian Gray instead. But I think he's a disruptor in the middle. I think Donovan Heinisch is playing pretty well in the middle. Elijah Hughes is somebody that came on strong last week and is a little bit of a surprise to me, to be completely honest. I thought he was in that 4-5 slot, and maybe you only use him break glass in case of emergency type situation. But I'd say he's probably firmly in the top 3 mix there for Notre Dame at defensive tackles. So finishing off there on the inside, it's like, where does that leave Jared Dawson, who didn't play because of an injury recently? And where does that leave Jason Onye, who was supposed to be having the best camp of his career? He's been at Notre Dame a long time now. So it's interesting there that I think you've kind of found 3 guys that maybe weren't the combination of 3 guys that you thought it was going to be going into the year, but you have got to invest in the players who are playing well. And I think the 3 that I mentioned there are playing phenomenally. It's funny, last night I mentioned Chad Weaver as we were kind of winding down and getting ready for the long day that we have ahead. We were talking about on the edges on the defensive line. I would just love for guys like Jordan Botelho, Bryce Young, Boubacar Traore, to just sort of announce their presence a little more consistently throughout games. It's awesome when you make one play and everyone's talking about it. But like, if you're still talking about one play 10 plays later, to me, it's like someone that talented and experienced in Botelho's case. Why aren't you doing that more often? Why are we not saying, oh, there's Botelho again, there's Traore again? And like Eric said, in a game like this, when you're going against maybe the most talented, prolific quarterback in both phases, the passing and the running game, you're going to have to get after him. So if we're not talking about those guys more often today than we were against a Purdue team, that offensive line, especially on the right side, thank God Notre Dame finally started exploiting it. I give Junior Tuihalamaka credit for that. And Arkansas's offensive line, by the way, has graded out very well this year, so it's a completely different challenge. Notre Dame needs to play better along the defensive line in this game than they played against Purdue. It just has to happen.
In show business terms, I'll say it like this: the defense has a lot of cameos, but nobody's wanting to star. You know, like a lot of recurring guys who are you hear about them one play and then you don't hear about them the rest of the game. You don't hear about them until the next week. It's kind of maddening almost when you think about it too, because you see these guys, like they'll make a play and then it's tumbleweeds after that. So
the thing, like, I come back to is go back to week 1. We're saying Ruben Bain's name all the time for Miami. The next week, the Hicks guy for A&M was just living in Notre Dame's backfield, tackling Jeremiah Love behind the line of scrimmage. And I think Notre Dame fans are a little bit in shock when that happens. And of course, that's a blocking issue. But the point is, A&M has that guy that's like, oh yeah, he's going to be doing this thing all game. Yeah. Notre Dame does not have that right now.
Eric, Marcus at one of his press conferences, whatever this week, was seeming to tie the performance of the defense on the fact that they weren't really going one-on-one. I don't know if you asked that question or something about the hype of the defense or something, but I know that was one of the questions, and he was kind of leading towards, we just couldn't practice at this proper speed, which I understand that you can't come up with the same speed as you do in a real game, but it still sounded like he's still searching for answers too, obviously.
Yeah, and I'm going to use that phrase, press conferences or whatever. Depending on the level of information we can distract.
Thank you.
Extract. So, I think they are looking for answers, but it wasn't. I think the context of what you were talking about, somebody asked, are you seeing the answers in practice and then them not carrying over? And what Marcus was trying to explain is they don't do a lot of ones versus ones once you get into the season. You have a scout team that needs to show Arkansas's offense, not Notre Dame's offense. And so, and you can't go, you see them executing Arkansas's offense, just not at the speed that Arkansas does. That's where he was trying to explain the challenges of practice carrying over to the game. In terms of finding answers, I'll cut to the chase. Marcus Freeman, I felt like needed to be, and I think he did this week, inject himself further into the defensive meeting rooms and into the defensive equations in terms of what this defense is going to look like schematically going forward, and getting the right personnel, coaching it up the right way so that there's not hesitancy on the defensive players' parts. I think that's where, when you see somebody like Drake Bowen and you say, wow, why isn't he the guy that we saw at the end of last year? I think this is where the disconnect is. And Marcus Freeman talked about his own experience on Monday at the actual press conference where, Notre Dame gave up 38 points to a bad Florida State offense in 2021, his first game, then got nicked for 29, and he had to make some adjustments. What was that period like? And sometimes you have a system that works great somewhere else. You try to plug it in at Notre Dame, and you have different athletes and you have different culture and you have to teach it differently. And that's the gap that Marcus Freeman, I think, is trying to close, because some of this is schematic. There's guys that were really good players last year that are very average this year. And that's all you can strike it up to. It's not like Drake Bowen's out there loafing.
It's time for our first break, and we'll be back talking more about the defense, and then we'll get into the offense also. So stay with us. We'll be back after a short break on Game Day on Sports Radio, WSBT, and Sunny 101.5.
Pre-game and post-game coverage presented by Cheers Bar and Grill, your post-game headquarters for blue and gold football. Also brought to you by South Bend Orthopedics, trusted in the community for more than 75 years.
I love your song choice here. This is on one of my lists, on my list of songs.
Yep,
So,
all Arkansas artists.
Oh, Arkansas.
That's been my goal. Pick a where the school is, what state it is. Just go with artists from there. Last week was a little bit of a stretch with Purdue. Not gonna lie, it was a little.
Now,
bit.
if you were doing quarterbacks, that'd be another story
Right.
from Purdue.
Yeah, it was a lot of John Mellencamp, but yeah, this week we've got all Arkansas and they're all groups artists that you've heard of. So
He's Jim. I'm Tim. We're also with Eric and Tyler on Game Day on Sports Radio WSBT and Sunny 101.5. So I think you're in the car now, getting ready to hit the stadium. Which stadium is this? They play at 2 stadiums down there.
What is it? Reynolds Razorback State? Donald Reynolds?
Yeah, it's Donald Reynolds and also on the War Memorial Stadium. So I don't know why is one. I don't know if one's.
They might have like 5 different names for the same stadium, just like a lot of colleges do these days. I can't keep track. Everyone wants to put their name on the building, you know?
There you go.
The Coliseum is, United Airlines Field at
right.
LA College, all that.
Hey, I'd much rather put someone's name on a college football stadium than Kroger or Albertsons or something like that.
What do you mean? You don't like going to Papa John's Stadium down in Louisville?
Not my favorite.
So we were talking about the defense last game. Purdue gave up a lot of points, and we concentrated on the defensive line. Let's go to the linebacker level now, Eric. And what did you see, or what would you critique for the linebackers?
Eric, you're on mute.
I think it was muted. No, as a group.
That's good. I like that. Good segue there, man.
All right. Okay. But there were a couple that jumped out at me that I thought, okay, this is moving in the right direction. I mean, Kingston Viliamuasa is always going to be consistent. I thought Jaden Osbury showed up, and I thought Madden Faramo got his first snaps of the season at linebacker. He had been playing special teams. He made his debut at linebacker at 23 snaps, and I thought he showed up. I still think people are wondering, okay, what's going on with Jalen Sneed? Why isn't he playing more? Why isn't he making big plays? And Drake Bowen's consistency, I don't think is there yet. So that's how I would look at the linebackers. But there's some progress, and there's 5 of them now that you have to worry about if you're the other team.
Tyler, linebacker.
Well, yeah, we went into the season knowing that it was going to be the big rotation of 4 guys, and we thought we knew exactly who those were. It still kind of is, obviously. Jalen Sneed, Jaden Osbury, Kingston Viliamuasa, and the team captain Drake Bowen. But I am curious if Madden Faramo starts stealing more and more snaps from Jalen Sneed, because that's basically what we saw last week is more Faramo, or the first of Faramo on defense, like Eric said, in the defensive capacity. And Jalen Sneed only logs, I think, 14 defensive snaps in that game. And if you watch it closely, a lot of those came in the fourth quarter when Notre Dame was starting to take some starters out. Jalen Sneed did not even start that ball game. Jaden Osbury did with Drake Bowen. So it's a interesting situation occurring right now for the Notre Dame linebacker corps. But we've seen this with Jalen Sneed before, where we think we know that he's going to take that next step, and it's looking like he's doing all the right things, the necessary things to do so. He has a little mid-season downturn, which is fine. I mean, you're never going to play 12 perfect ball games. I guarantee you at some point later in this season, we're sitting there saying it, and maybe it's today, who knows? Hey, Jalen Sneed had a really good game. He, at his best, his ceiling is what we thought it was. It stinks that maybe the consistency piece isn't there for him, but I do think he's going to turn in some pretty good games at some point in the season. And like I said, maybe that's even today. Notre Dame could use it with an Arkansas offense that's pretty dang good across the board.
Jim, you want to finish up on the linebackers and segue into the secondary?
I'm just kind of waiting for somebody to say, I'm the guy. It's up to me to make the play. I like last year you had that in like almost an embarrassment of riches almost. This year, kind of passive, I think, kind of pensive a little bit as far as the linebackers go. So Jaden Osbury has shown up. I will give him credit for that. Like we've talked about Jaden Osbury like every week, but everybody else as far as the linebackers go, it's been kind of a revolving door.
Hey, that's a plug for Blue and Gold Illustrated. There'll be a Jaden Osbury feature in the magazine that comes out Sunday morning as soon as we wrap up this game, and then the same feature online the following Friday in advance of what is that, Boise State next week. So be on the lookout.
A shameless plug. I got it.
You'll be billed.
Eric, still got a couple of holes on defense, or are we going to get Leonard Moore back and Devontae?
Devontae Smith was upgraded to probable on Thursday, so I would assume that he's going to play unless he tripped on one of Tyler's chicken quesadillas or whatever was enchiladas. What did you have last night?
Fajitas, Eric. Every time you go to Chili's, Dos Equis with the lime. You have to get the chips and salsa, and you have to get the chicken fajitas.
Okay. So Devontae Smith, I think we will see back, and I do think we'll see some Dallas Golden blended in there at the nickel spot. I thought he came on in the second half last week, played 65 snaps for a guy that just learned how to play nickel on Monday. I thought he was phenomenal. Leonard Moore, I'm not as optimistic about. He was not upgraded from questionable to probable on Thursday. We saw him walking around a little bit on Tuesday night when we did interviews. I mean, he didn't see a noticeable limp. What they may be doing with Leonard Moore is just trying to be careful with him so that this isn't an ankle injury that is chronic and that chases him through the whole season, that they get him 100%. But boy, they sure could use him today. So for me, it's a coin flip on Leonard Moore, but I do think Devontae Smith would be helpful to have against this kind of team in Arkansas.
If I could say one thing about Leonard Moore, I've seen way too many people asking, how the heck does he come back into the Texas A&M game after injuring the ankle, play really well, and now he's been out at least one game. It's looking like he's going to be out a second game. Adrenaline is a hell of a drug, guys.
It sure is.
Yeah, it is.
He used that to his full advantage to try to help Notre Dame win that game. Did everything he could in that game. We know that. But I guarantee you the Sunday after Texas A&M, when he woke up and planted his foot down after getting out of bed for the first time, he was like, oh, man, this might take a while. And ask Jordan Faison, who injured his ankle in the very first game of last year, ironically, against Texas A&M, and he was never the same player the entire season. So Notre Dame is absolutely going to be cautious with Leonard Moore. It stinks that you're going against another really good pass offense because you really want him on the field. But if he's hobbling around and can't be the same player that he is and further injuring that ankle, then there's probably no point to that.
And they're going to see more good pass offenses too. USC, Boston College was number 1 going into this week. Mm-hmm. So it's not like you're saying, oh, well, they're just playing triple option teams coming up.
Let's change course and let's go over to the offense. Did you see the improvement on the offensive line, the incremental improvement again, Eric?
I thought I did, especially in the interior positions. Ashton Craig, Billy Schrouth, and Gerby Lambert. Gerby Lambert is really asserting himself as I'm a guy that's going to stay, and I guess we'll probably have some talk about Jagaza later in the program. But Gerby Lambert, I think, is here to stay. I thought the tackles were a little bit better. I think there's still improvement. I know Mike Denbrock was higher on them than maybe my eye test gave them, but people remember the sack just before the fake halftime that Notre Dame had that Anthony Knapp gave up. But I think the tackles are playing better as a unit. That was a step in the right direction, and they need to continue that. That needs to be an elite part of this team. And Tim, we are not hearing your audio. I don't know if Tyler's in the same situation where he can't hear it, but I can't hear it.
I cannot hear it. Can you hear me, Eric?
I can hear you. So
should I talk about the offensive line and filibuster a little bit here?
I would go ahead and talk about the offensive line until we get this settled. So go ahead, Tyler. Take it away.
I wish I had more to say, but you so eloquently put pretty much everything that was on my mind. Eric. I think pass protection, outside of whatever happened against Miami, maybe they were just in their own heads in terms of Emil Wagner looking lost in that game, Anthony Knapp, just too many blow-bys in that game. And like you said, Eric, you really only saw the one against Purdue. Since Miami, I think pass protection has really enabled CJ Carr to feel as comfortable as can be as a redshirt freshman starting quarterback, and that's facilitated his growth in a great way. And we're probably going to be looking back on that at the end of the season going, man, thank God for that Notre Dame offensive line, because it really helped CJ Carr come along. But what we're seeing now as well, and we mentioned it at the very top of the show with Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price, they don't score the 5 offensive touchdowns and get all of those yards without the offensive line doing something for them. And I thought you saw the line of scrimmage moving in the correct direction if you're looking at it from an offensive lens for Notre Dame. You saw Billy Shrout, Ashton Craig, Eric, you mentioned Gerby Lambert. Like, those guys on the interior were mauling people. And we talk about good offensive guards. You want them to just be maulers in the run game. I think that's what you saw. And then when Notre Dame runs outside as well, and the wide receivers get involved, we'll talk about them in a little bit, obviously. But just in terms of blocking and assignments, it looked a lot better for Notre Dame against Purdue. You hope that that wasn't opponent-based. I do think a lot of it was Notre Dame-driven. But look, you're looking at another opponent today in Arkansas that, I mean, I put them right up there with Purdue in the category of, yeah, these guys aren't going to give you much pushback when you're trying to run the ball. So for Notre Dame, use that as an opportunity to further advance what you're doing in the running game, and I think that's a very strong possibility today.
We're still not hearing Tim, and
it's our show now, Eric.
And Jim Irizarry, I don't think he had a leg cramp, but he's not in his Brady Bunch square. So we're going to move on to tight ends while they get the technical things fixed on that end. And so Eli Raridan has been primarily the guy that sees all the snaps. We've seen some Ty Washington. It'll be interesting if we see him today since he's a former Arkansas player.
I think you will see him today, Eric.
Yeah. I'm curious, do you think we'll see a larger rotation eventually with James Flanagan, the freshman, and or Jack Larson, the redshirt freshman?
I think you got to. And you can hear me, right, Eric? It says my mic.
Yes.
I think we got some strange things going on here. But I just watched that first game against Miami, Eric, and everything that Notre Dame put on Eli Raridan's shoulders, I was almost aghast and just taken aback. Like, this is Notre Dame. You're supposed to be able to run out 4 or 5 tight ends a game and feel very confident that all of those guys are going to do a really good job. And what that game told me was, yeah, Eli Raridan is the only one right now. And I know Ty Washington is dealing with a wrist issue in fall camp.
Okay, Tyler just disappeared, and now he's back. And so you said fall camp, and go on. Okay.
Yeah, we
just
got
keep
boxes.
Talking. Just keep.
We got boxes
on.
going in left and right out of this StreamYard deal here. Yeah, Ty Washington had the wrist injury at fall camp, so that might have had something to do with why he played against Miami. But to your point, Eric, you have to see Ty Washington at the very least as Eli Raridan's number 2 consistently every game, getting double-digit snaps a game. I mean, maybe even 20 snaps a game to help out in the running game. They don't need him to be a pass catcher. I think that's pretty obvious in what you have with Jordan Faison, Malachi Fields, and Eli Raridan from the tight end position. You got all you need there. But, man, if these guys can't come in and block for you and give you some different looks and give you some multiple tight end sets, then you're in a world of hurt. I think Notre Dame took a very nice step in that regard against Purdue because, Eric, you saw it. Everyone saw it. Notre Dame came out in a multiple tight end set, and they played a lot of that game with 2 tight ends on the field, taking the slot receiver off the field. So probably not going to be every game. I think that's a game plan type of thing with Mike Denbrock and what he sees in the opposing defense. But to me, it was a good sign that, okay, yeah, Ty Washington can handle more than one play, which is what he got in week 1 against Miami.
Are we back with no more leg cramps, guys? Tim and Jim?
Actually, he had a leg cramp. I had a stomach cramp. So
Okay, we're back.
thank you. I love working with
musical Charlie horse, if it were.
I love working with professionals. You guys just took it and you did fine. You did great or whatever. And you took us up to the next break. Although I want to spend at least 1 minute or two on special teams because we have some changes there going on. Eric?
So Noah Burnett had a hip injury last game. Eric Schmidt came on. He kicked 8 extra points out of 8. He missed a field goal in the fourth quarter from 31 yards. I think he was tired because he kicked off 9 times. The first one went out of bounds. The next 8 were touchbacks. He will remain the kickoff guy going forward. And then Noah Burnett is expected to be back today. He's 7 for 7 on extra points, 3 for 3 on field goals this year. So that's what's going on there. We all know what Jadarian Price is doing as a kickoff guy. Jordan Faison at punt return. James Rendell is lonely. He didn't punt last week.
I was going to say.
What a game for him.
I was going to say something to Tyler about that. Tyler, do we even have a punter? Is he decided to go transfer to another team because he wants some action?
I saw, though, there is a stat that it's the fewest punts across the FBS in decades. And I think some of it is teams are going forward on 4th down more, and some of it, these offenses are really off to a great start nationally.
I would have liked James Rendell to get some work, though, because that was a big storyline coming into the year. It's like, has he taken the next step? I don't know. We're not sure. We didn't see him in the last game.
You may not see him today or either punter.
Yeah, good point. Take the over. Take the over, everybody.
There you go. All right, we're going to be back with our music and football segment, and it's a more analysis of the last game and get you ready to start looking at this week's game. All on Sports Radio WSBT and Sunny 101.5. about some Pointer Sisters? I love it.
Pre-game coverage presented by Cheers Bar and Grill, your post-game headquarters for blue and gold football. Also by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
You're listening to Game Day on Sports Radio WSBT and Sunny 101.5. Tim Grau along with Jim Arizari, Eric Hansen, and Tyler Horka from blueandgold.com. Let's do a quick round, grade the positions as of last week's performance before we head into our music segment. Tyler, we'll start with you this time. Offense.
Entire offense?
Offensive line grade. Sorry. Wide open.
Offensive line, I would give an A, not an A plus, because they weren't perfect for a unit that was almost perfect when you look at it in totality. But it was, I mean, again, when we were talking about just a second ago, how much time CJ Carr has to throw the ball. I think that's why you see 10 of 12 for however many yards it was and a couple of touchdowns. He's not pressured in a lot of these instances, especially in that game against Purdue. And then with the running game, you don't run. Your running backs don't run for an average of 8.3 and 8.2 yards per carry without the offensive line doing something good. I know that these guys are exceptional talents and they can turn 2-yard gains into 10-yard gains. But I really do think the offensive line was very decisive in what it was trying to do to create running lanes for those guys. And you couple that with what they did for CJ Carr, and I think you get a pretty solid A performance.
So let's just piggyback on that while I got you, Tyler. The running back, since you're giving the line the A grade too, similar?
A plus for the running backs. Because, again, they get into the end zone 5 times on offense. Jadarian Price says that's not enough. I'm going to get into the end zone on a kickoff return. I mean, he's just crazy good. Jeremiah Love is crazy good. And it just felt like one of those games where every time you gave one of those guys the ball, something good was going to happen. Nothing negative was going to happen. And when you're living in that space, you're living right. And I really do think that those are the 2 best running backs in America when you put them in combination together. I don't see any 2 in tandem on any other team that are better than those 2 guys.
That return last week, by the way, like he had nothing but green grass in front of him.
Well, the one guy ran into him.
Yeah.
And then
number 21.
And then he ran into his own guy, and then Jadarian Price was home free. It was a weird kickoff return. I agree, Jim.
He was on a mission. Eric, grade the offensive line and tag on to that also the running backs then.
I'll start with the running backs and give them an A+++. They get to go to, on the way home from school, they get to get a Happy Meal.
How many gold stars?
4.5 gold stars. And if you saw the movie School of Rock, you understand that reference. 4.5 gold stars. The offensive line, I'm going to give them a B+. I thought they did a really good job. I think there's still room for them. I want to encourage them, if I'm the teacher, to keep reaching. So B+ for the offensive line.
Jim, what do you say?
Offensive line, I'll go A-. Keeping on the same theme that I've had with just the offense in general, there's something that keeps getting better every week. And CJ Carr hasn't really seen much of the turf at least last week he didn't anyway. They're doing a really good job of keeping him upright, which is exactly what you need with this, not just with CJ Carr, but just this offense in general. So
you get to keep talking, Jim. How about analyze the receivers? Grade for them.
I mean, if we have games from Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price like we have, it's almost kind of like, what am I grading here? But Malachi Fields continues to impress me. I mean, just a solid pickup out of the transfer portal. Continues to make that bond with CJ Carr. Faison's starting to get back into the swing of things too. That's good to see. So, excuse me. And then I guess, do we mesh the tight ends in with that too?
Sure, absolutely.
Eli Raridan has basically gotten everything that's thrown to him, right?
I
Like
agree.
I'm not wrong in that. So, at least I don't think I'm wrong on that. So yeah,
He just doesn't have as many thrown to him as we thought would be.
Right. I figured he'd be a little bit more involved, but he's getting there, I think. So overall receiving, it's an A for me.
Eric, the receiver grade from you.
I would give them an A. I mean, there were only 12 pass attempts. They caught 10 of them, 223 yards. Where I thought the wide receivers really shined was in run blocking. I thought they were outstanding with that. So they get some gold stars and an A for run blocking.
Tyler?
I'll go with an A for the same reason as Eric. I maybe go B plus if Jaden Greathouse wasn't so great at blocking, because it's still a little perplexing to me
He is kind of that.
Yeah. Oh, look, I mean, he's a monster physically, so it makes sense that he's moving people out there in that capacity. But I would love to see him catch a few more passes. And Eric makes a good point. They only threw the ball 12 times in that game. But if he really is your number one slot guy, if he really is the guy who caught 13 passes for 233 yards and 3 touchdowns in the 2 biggest games of the season last year, then how does he only have 2 catches for 42 yards this year? And one of those was a meaningless catch at the end of the A&M game. Like, I don't care if you only throw 12 passes against Purdue. Jaden Greathouse should probably catch 1 or 2 of those and make an impact in the pass catching game. He did not, but like I said, he did move people as a blocker. And then Malachi Fields and Jordan Faison, I mean, they're everything that you want in a 1-2 punch and a boundary receiver and a field receiver. So Notre Dame is doing great on that front. If the slot guy gets a little bit more involved, whether that be Greathouse or Will Pauling, the team captain, then, oh boy, you've got 3 across the board that are hitting that ceiling that I thought a lot of people hoped at the beginning of the year that Notre Dame would get to.
I'm gonna get one more punt. I'm gonna get a punt in that we haven't punted all year. I'm going to punt and hold the defensive grade off so we can get in our music and football segment in here, get everybody charged up. I want anybody. I see a lot of comments coming in too, questions and stuff too. Anybody comes up with a good idea on what we should call the music football segment because it's just too bland, go ahead and comment on that too, and I'll consider adding that to that. But right now we're going to do the football and music thing, and let's start with Eric.
Okay.
This will be for last week's game.
Right.
The theme for last week's game by Eric, a song choice.
Well, I'm eager to hear it, and then I'll talk about it on the other side. How's that?
All right, sounds good.
And I'm not hearing a thing.
Crossing the range, riding the storm out, riding the storm out.
Love it.
Riding the storm out. Riding the storm.
Too bad there's not cowbell in that. But riding the storm out, a couple of things. Certainly the lightning delay, but also the 0-2 start to start the season, and then coming back with a 56-30 win over Purdue. That's why I picked that.
Hadn't heard the studio version of Riding the Storm Out. I've only ever heard the live version. So
that's good enough.
Yeah.
Well, this was the lightning delay version when people were at the Mendoza School of Business taking a nap on their couches.
Right.
Jim, what do we got for you?
Here's for me last week anyway.
I'm on a boat. I'm on a boat. Everybody look at me 'cause I'm sailing on a boat. I'm on a boat. I'm on a boat.
So I figured we were, it was kind of a boat race last week, but I also thought, you know what, are we going to need one of these boats here to get to the parking lot after the game or anything? So there you go. Lonely Island. I'm on a boat.
Tyler, did you have time to get anything in? I know it was pretty late last night.
Jim, do you got me or no?
I don't think I have your last week song, but I do have your this week song.
Let's go. I'll do my last week songs because actually I took the privilege also when I decided to take 2 of them. So
yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm senior on the show based on age or whatever, not looks or whatever. So I took 2. So go ahead with the first one.
All right.
The dynamic duo. Love, Price,
Zonk.
Zonk, right?
Bam.
All right. Yeah, that's a dynamic duo. I kept going through my head all the time last week. That's because I grew up watching Black Batman on TV.
Tyler told me, he texted me, he wants to sing his a cappella here.
Oh,
No, I'm not going to sing it, but I'll say what we were supposed to play here. And Notre Dame fans might not like it, but hey, I'm just being honest here. That Doesn't Impress Me Much by Shania Twain.
Oh, love it.
Oh, wait. Oh, okay, so I do.
That don't impress me much. So you got the brains, but have you
I
got
love
the
it.
touch?
That's
And
great.
don't get me wrong, yeah.
All right, Jim, you got my
And
second one.
That's in relation to the Notre Dame defense. Obviously, I want to make that clear
Right.
because
I love it.
the offense was very much the opposite. Very impressive.
Right.
That was a good round for everybody.
Yeah.
All right, second one for me.
All right.
Last
Second
week.
one for Tim. Of course.
Lightning is striking again and again and again. Lou Christie. Okay, I date myself again. So one of those songs that I grew up with. So you guys get the headbanging music. Although Shania, I do have Shania on my playlist also and stuff too. So, and one of my daughters and I, Molly, we could sing and serenade everybody with a lot of those songs and stuff.
All right.
So, all right, let's go to a song that represents this week. Eric.
Again, you'll play it first, and then I'll even do the motion to it, and then I'll explain it on the other side.
Well, Tyler's not going to see this. Tyler had to leave.
Same as it ever was. Same as it ever was. Look where my hand was. The time isn't holding up. The time isn't after us. Same as it ever was. Same as it ever was.
Good job. Good pick. Good source. Jim, what do you got on yours?
So that was the talking head, same as it ever was, in terms of there's not going to be a lot of defense in this game, I don't think.
Yeah.
Here's what I think today's going to be. All right. And it's real quick. This is kind of a cheat again. You know, like last week where I didn't even have a lyric. I just picked actual songs. This is kind of along the same lines, but there's at least something sung here at the beginning of it. I think there's going to be some pork served up, and I also think
On the field?
yeah, well, who knows? Maybe, Razorback, So, but yeah, Jack McDuff's Hot Barbecue is my song for this week. So
I'll take that too. I've actually some barbecue right now. Sounds good. I might have to stop at King Gabriel's to get some barbecue when I'm done here.
they're
and
ribs.
stuff too. So, Tyler, did we only have the one song? I know you were really busy and flying and everything, or did you have another one?
I sent one to Jim. I'm not sure if he has it, but you guys can go on without me if he doesn't.
Don't have it. So, but,
All right.
Anyway,
What was it, Tyler?
It's Gonna Get Better by Genesis. I actually do think that when you take into account opponent, Arkansas's offense is much better than that of Purdue. Although I was pretty impressed by some of those playmakers Purdue has. I'm starting to think that maybe Notre Dame takes at least a little step toward, again, when you play an opponent like Arkansas who has all these playmakers, and if you're able to do something to win the ball game, then it's got to be a little bit better than what we've seen the last 2 weeks, right? It's going to get better.
hopefully.
All right. So for the last one will be mine for this game. And I got a suggestion that we call this Blasting the Echoes segment.
Yeah, that's from Vamos Irish on the in the YouTube chat room.
So what do we got for me? I don't even remember my second song, Jim.
We can work it out. We can work it out. Think of what you're saying. You can get it wrong and still you think that it's all right. Think of what I'm saying. We can work it out and get it straight or say goodnight. We can work it out.
That's the conversation between Marcus and Chris Ash
Yeah,
about
right.
the defense.
Wow, that was very melodic considering what that meeting room could be, because Marcus said it was an uncomfortable meeting.
And he
wanted
wanted
it to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. Well, I loved it. All the song choices were great today, and we hope the listeners and the viewers also. So you even got some motion action from Eric on his song.
Talking Heads, yes.
We're going to be right back after a short break on Game Day for another hour. Also, we're going to be starting the analysis of this week's Fighting Irish and break down all the positions in depth chart. And we're also going to talk with former Indy and NFL offensive lineman Chris Stewart. All that on Game Day. This is your home for Fighting Irish football, Sports Radio WSBT and Sunny 101.5.
Black Oak, Arkansas, bringing us back in. Pre and post game coverage presented by Cheers Bar and Grill, your post-game headquarters for blue and gold football. Also by Wakarusa Ag, your go-to for all of your equipment needs. Find them online at wakarusaag.com.
Welcome back to another hour of Game Day. I'm Tim Grau along with Jim Irizarry, Eric Hansen, and Tyler Horka from blueandgold.com. Thank you for including us in your days. Stay right here because immediately following the game following Game Day at 11 a.m. will be the Fighting Irish Network pregame show with kickoff just after 12 noon. After the game, it's time to join our own Jim Irizarry on Indy Overtime for a review of the game plus all the stats and interviews. All on Sports Radio WSBT, Sunny 101.5, streamed at WSBTradio.com or through the WSBT radio app and at Sports Radio WSBT on the YouTube channel right now, which I'm getting some comments. Tyler, you got picked as the best musical clip for that by one person because that's only one person that voted.
I'll take what I can get.
There you go. There you go. So someone else said we should call that segment The Four Horsemen and a Guitar. I'm not sure if he's meaning the Four Horsemen or he's calling us horses and we're the Four Horsemen with a guitar. That's let to be seen. A lot of good things. Keep them coming in. We like hearing some comments from our audience and our listeners, and it helps us for the next time we do something. So now we got to beat Tyler Horka from now on, and somebody else has to take the mantle for that.
Or our moms have to vote for us like Tyler's mom did for him.
You're right. You're right. My daughters are listening right now, and not a single one of them sent anything in. Boy,
Put them to work for you.
Gonna have to go talking to them and stuff. So, all right. So we've done a good analysis of last week's game. Let's get to this game. One of these times we're not going to have as much to talk about for the last game, and we'll spend more time on the current game. But we're playing the Arkansas Razorbacks, first time meeting ever. I wanted to go back, but you're the historian, Eric. I always ask, who else have we played in the recent few years? If you think, I'm just throwing you a curveball, that we had never played before.
You are throwing me a curveball. I would have to go back and look. I know next week it'll be a first-time opponent as well with Boise State that they haven't played. Mm-hmm. But some of the bye games that we call them, the games that are not home and home, those usually a lot of times are first-time opponents. Northern Illinois might have been one of those. Okay. I would have to double check on that, and I will when somebody else is talking.
Thank you. Sorry I threw that curveball and it just came to my mind or whatever, and I just reminded myself that we had played them for the
Lou's emoji would have hit that out of the park. That is where Lou and I diverge in terms of being historian.
Well, we'll let you.
I remember the funny things Charlie Weiss said and when he got mad at me, those kind of things, not opponents.
That's how my head works too. I got it. So I'm going to give you the first shot. We've already talking a little bit about Talon Green, but give us the high 50,000 view of how good he is.
I think he's and the Northern Illinois game was a first-time opponent. I think Talon Green at 6'6", 235, number one in the nation in total offense, which is when you combine passing yards and rushing yards. I think he's as good a quarterback as there is in the country. And the step up for him in his game has been his passing game. He was Boise State's starter for a couple of years, transferred to Arkansas last year, wanted to play in the Bobby Petrino offense. And Bobby Petrino, Arkansas's offensive coordinator, is really good at getting him on the edges. He can scramble. And again, at 6'6", 235, he's a guy that can get you those Riley Leonard 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. I just think, wow, this is as good a quarterback as Notre Dame's going to see this year, and they're going to see some good ones. So for me, that's very high praise. I think he's better than Carson Beck. I think he's better than Marcel Reed.
Tyler, you want to jump in there and elaborate on what you think of Talon Green?
Yeah, the most yards per game, passing and rushing of anyone in the country sort of speaks for itself, right? Like, this guy is kind of everything that they try to do offensively revolves around him. Not every quarterback in the country is like that. Like, take, for example, by the way, we're walking up a pretty steep hill here, by the way. So you hear me huffing and puffing, that's why.
You're the young one. You're supposed to be in shape.
No, yeah, it's fine, but
You know what, Tyler? That doesn't impress me much.
I agree. I agree with you, Tim. But like Notre Dame won a game last week with CJ Carr throwing 12 passes. That's never going to be in the formula for Arkansas. Like they lean all the way into Taylor Green, his arm, his legs. Like, did CJ Carr have any rushing attempts last week? He had the one that was very impressive. And Mike Denbrock says, like, I want to see more of that from CJ Carr because that's a chain mover. That's it gets the defense thinking a little bit. So, but in terms of Taylor Green, like he's every bit as advertised. I'll say that. Like he can do all of the things. And if Arkansas comes up short today or in any game, it's probably not his fault. Like there's a lot of other deficiencies with this football team. He is not one of those.
Yeah, the propensity for allowing points in the last 2 minutes of the game. Let's hope that keep your fingers crossed on that one. Irish for Life 99 on YouTube in the YouTube chat room. By the way, hi YouTube. Do we put a spy on him like we did Reed in the A&M game? Not that it really helped.
I'll go first here. You might think about it. Marcus Freeman actually brought that concept up, and he didn't like it with Taylor Green, but maybe that's a red herring. But the thing is, I don't know that the spike concept helps you that much, except maybe on 3rd and long, and maybe that's when you do it so that he doesn't hit you up the middle. But he's so involved in their planned run game that I'm not sure that the spy concept you can use it in heavy doses. I think you're just going to have to do it 3rd and 11, 3rd and 12 kind of thing. And even then, 6'6", 235, you better have a pretty stout guy who can run to deal with him.
Tyler, what's the receivers like that he's throwing to?
Well, it starts with Omega Blake, which, by the way, we talked about Boubacar Traore, Jim, a couple weeks ago, right? Being an awesome name. Omega Blake. Like, are you kidding me?
That's fantastic.
With an apostrophe in it, too.
Yeah, like it's the real deal. He's the number one guy. But here's the thing that I think Notre Dame needs to be on the lookout for today. Arkansas gets 3 tight ends involved in the passing game, and that goes against what we've seen from Notre Dame, obviously. I know Ty Washington had some late catches against Purdue, but primarily Notre Dame is a 1 tight end team in terms of who you're throwing the football to.
Yeah.
There's a tight end on Arkansas's roster who's touched the ball 6 times. 3 of those are touchdowns. Like, you can't discount any tight end that steps on the field for this team. And they've had some really good ones over the years. Like Hunter Henry comes to mind. So, like, Omega Blake, key in on him, especially if Leonard Moore is not playing. I'd be very worried about him. But in the passing game, Taylor Green definitely likes to get his tight ends involved as well.
So, Eric, who's he going to be pitching the ball to or handing the ball off to complement his skills?
Well, they have big running backs at Arkansas. Their starting running back, Washington, is 6'1", 228. Their backup is 6', 238. So they have some size to go along with that. Now, Washington is an interesting guy. He started his career at Buffalo and then went to New Mexico State and never averaged more than like 4 yards a carry. And then he comes to Arkansas and he becomes a very explosive runner. His issue last week was they were trailing late in the Memphis game 32-31, and they were down near the goal line, knocking on the door. A field goal would have won it for them. They got close. He reaches the ball toward the goal line, just holds the ball out. Memphis knocks it out, recovers at the 7, and wins the game. So he's going to have to be better with handling the ball, but they're a handful. They're deep, they're big, and they go right along with the quarterback. I mean, you think about all that size and all that speed in the running game, that's formidable. And it's going to be, I mean, you look at Arkansas across the board, they're as good a balance of an offense as Notre Dame will see all year.
Do you incorporate a peanut punch as far as he goes?
A peanut punch? I'm not sure what that is, so you'll have to explain it to me.
Basically just punching at the ball.
Well, I mean, he held it out so that
Yeah, that's not helpful either.
yeah, that wasn't helpful. And that's Mike Washington. I cheated him on an inch on his size. He's 6'2", 228. And Braylon Russell, the backup, is 6'1", 238. But, I mean, they've had some issues with interceptions, and they've had some issues with ball handling. And so their turnover margin has hurt them. They've lost 2 close games where they've scored a lot of points. They've scored 28 points or more in first half of every game this year.
Wow.
So they get off to hot starts, but their turnovers are a problem. And yeah, I would say definitely, Jim, your idea is good. We'll get that to Marcus and Chris Ash.
Tyler, any final comments on the offense for Arkansas?
Yeah, one thing I would say that's very interesting about the way their season has gone is that you look at all the points that they're putting up. You look at the quarterbacks, some of the skill position players that we just mentioned. You know how many points they've scored in the second half of their last 2 games, which they've lost to Ole Miss and Memphis? Second half points. You guys know? 10.
Well, I know that they've
total.
Yeah, I know that they've scored 28 in the first half of every game, and they've scored so maybe 6 in the combined.
10 total.
10,
a touchdown against Ole Miss and a field goal against Memphis. That is interesting, especially for Notre Dame, in the sense that if you're not able to stop these guys in the second half, the way that Ole Miss did, the way that Memphis did, I think that's going to say a lot about Chris Ash and where this defense is right now. But the one thing that Notre Dame might have going for it is how many points did Purdue score in the second half of that game last week? 7, as opposed to 23 in the first half. So if trends hold both with Arkansas's offense and Notre Dame's defense, then if Notre Dame puts itself in a position early to be in the game or maybe even winning the game, it should have a pretty good chance of closing it out in the second half, again, if those trends hold.
As we go to break, Irish for Life 99 says the only way we are stopping Green is keeping him on the sideline.
Yeah, win that time possession battle. Why not?
There you go.
Well, and this is a game where you could sit on the ball. Arkansas is 87th in rush defense. This is a game where you could shorten the game a little bit if you had a lead.
Somebody asked me on our message board this week, like, do you lean all the way into Notre Dame's strength, which is the offense, and go tempo and really try to put a lot of points on the board? And I said, no. Like, don't invite Arkansas's offense to be on the field even more, because if you do go tempo and you go 3 and out, then you put yourself in a world of hurt. So just run your offense, because I think you're going to be able to today if you're Notre Dame.
We're going to take a break for our sponsors that we thank so much for backing the WSBT and Game Day show. We're going to come back with former Notre Dame and NFL offensive lineman Chris Stewart on Sports Radio WSBT and Sunny 101.5.
Pre and post game coverage presented by Cheers Bar and Grill, your post game headquarters for blue and gold football. Also by First State Bank, committed to being a premier financial partner with hometown values.
This is Game Day on Sports Radio WSBT and Sunny 101.5. Tim Grell alongside Jim Arizari and the senior writer for blueandgold.com, Eric Hansen, and the indie beat writer for blueandgold.com, Tyler Horka. So we're going to shift gears from our analysis and bring on our first guest for the show. I can't think how many years ago he was on before and did a great job. And I know he's going to fill us in with everything that's going on with his life. And that's where we're going to start. And we're going to be talking with Chris Stewart. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning. How are you all?
Doing great.
We're doing great and stuff too. Chris, what's going on out there? What are you doing these days?
Yeah, so I live in Harlem, New York, and in New York City. I'm working at AIG Investments, doing some private equity and private credit work in our funds group, and just handling the day-to-day things that pop up from a big company like AIG. Man,
You like the New York life?
I do. It's different than, kind of what I grew up in. I was born in Mississippi. I grew up in Houston, for people who don't remember that, because I'm old. I like the pace of life. I have always kind of thought that something like a New York would suit me. And here I am years later. I'm still here. I don't know if I would still call myself a New Yorker, given the native New Yorkers may take some offense to that. But I think after a few years of paying taxes up here, I can finally say that.
You make it over to Brooklyn at all?
I was in. Me and my wife were in Brooklyn last night. Actually, we do like to go to Brooklyn. What do we think? I think it is dual income, no kids yet. So we still like to go, even though I'm getting up there.
That's that is the best way to go. Quite honestly, I'm right there with you on that boat. But free plug for a restaurant, Gage and Tollner. Check that place out. Yeah.
Where in Brooklyn is that located?
I don't know. I'd have to ask my sister. She's the pastry chef there.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Okay.
Hey, you got an in? Just drop her name at the door.
Right. Especially if there is some cinnamon rolls. Oh God.
Hey, Chris, everybody's got a different story about how they came to Notre Dame, recruited wise and stuff. So let's just start with that, and then we'll move on chronologically and stuff. But when did Notre Dame pop up on your horizon there? Is this something that you watched Notre Dame play in the first, or were you a Mississippi State fan?
I definitely grew up a fan of SEC football, just being from there. It's hard to ignore. My sister went to Ole Miss, so I recall when I was younger, still waking up though, that NBC contract, still does wonders. So, I recall waking up before, and this is before streaming, before, teams like Texas broke out, everyone tried to get their own network. And I have a vivid memory of waking up like I don't know if it was like my 8th grade year or freshman year. I can't remember which one it was. And there was like a Notre Dame Michigan game on. And I remember watching it just being like, wow, cool colors, like cool football, things like that. So, coming from a football area, it's really hard to not pay attention to the Texas teams. You had Mac Brown there and people in Texas A&M and Texas Tech, everyone. But I recall a early memory, I would say, of watching Notre Dame football on NBC early.
If I'm not mistaken, I think that Michigan game ended in a tie.
It's something like that. It was, and I can't remember. It's wild. All these years later, I can't remember exactly. I remember it being a close game. If it was a tie, that might be right. Yeah.
Do you remember
which quarterback that game? Actually,
who's that?
Do we know who the quarterback was that game? I can't remember. Man, I'm starting to get to that age where some things like run together.
Right. All I remember was seeing that it ended in a tie, and like not knowing that you didn't play overtime in college back in those days.
Yeah.
Because that was right around the time that I started paying attention to college football as well.
Okay.
Like really paying attention to it.
Okay.
And I was just like, wait, what do you mean the game is over?
Yeah, the game's over. What do you mean? Yeah. So anyway, I have some early memories, but definitely had a lot of teams from my area that we followed. Just, I mean, you can't get away from it. Texas football.
So, Chris, which coach from Notre Dame came and paid the house visit or the school visit? Do you remember?
Yeah. So I have a weird distinction, a real kind of weird story in Notre Dame history. So when I first started getting recruited, it was actually Ty Willingham. Right. And I remember getting the letter from Ty being like, very interesting. Like Notre Dame has his coach. He then gets fired. Charlie comes on and started getting recruiting from his group. Charlie was the person that came to my house and, you know, sat down with my family. My neighbor came over, even though he's a massive Texas fan. He's still this is so funny. He was like 70 to me. He was like old then, and he's still there. I saw him briefly. And he's like, "Oh, how's New York?" And I'm like, "This is crazy." So so Charlie came. We had a great conversation with my family, obviously. But then towards the end of my career, obviously Charlie gets released and Brian Kelly comes on. So I saw 3 Notre Dame coaches at that time from, you know, beginning to end, which is probably not a great thing. But
and then you stick O'Leary in there too, right?
Let's say again.
O'Leary, you stick him in for a day or two or whatever.
No, I don't. Since I wasn't there, I'm like, nah, that basically didn't happen.
Well, the pages of that book are a little bit stuck for some reason.
Yeah, right. Let's turn the page on that one. That's wild. That's still a wild story.
We're talking with Chris Stewart, former Notre Dame and NFL offensive lineman here on Game Day. So you always wanted to be a lawyer too, right?
Yeah, I knew I wanted to do something. I knew I just didn't want to get my undergrad, right? And it was one of the reasons I even went to Notre Dame. I tell people all the time when I made that decision, I had I think 60 something offers, something ridiculous of places I could go. And one of the reasons I picked Notre Dame was because I thought it was the best mix of sports and academics. Like there was no one else to me that really were competing on that level. And so I had 3 goals. I wanted to obviously graduate. I wanted to have a chance to play for a national championship. And I wanted a chance to play professionally afterwards. And so I knew I wanted to do something. I didn't 100% know what, in my second career, but I knew I wanted to be a professional of some sort. And so law was up there, business school was up there, and law ended up working out. Yeah.
That had to be, I don't use the word tackle. I'm not trying to use it be funny or anything, but tackling both being a college football player and going for a law degree at the same time. I at that time, you're the only one that ever did it. I think you still are the only one that ever did it.
I'm still the only one that I like to say. I think I'm the only one who was crazy enough to do something like that. I do not, I do not recommend at all. 0 out of 10. The process, do not recommend. No, it was very difficult. I don't know if you guys can see on your hair. I have some grays in this beard. I have some grays in my hair. Yeah, those started that time.
At that time
when that started.
Chris, I've got a little bit of that too.
Yeah, just a little bit. And Eric, it's good to see you, man.
Great to see you.
Eric was prominent during my career. You still at it, so it's good to see.
Thank you.
Eric, got a question for Chris?
Sure. Chris was one of the pioneers for Notre Dame in that he was one of the first 3 early enrollees for football. It was George West, Chris, and James Aldridge.
Yep.
And can you take us a little bit through that experience, what that was like being the first ones, and are you glad that you were part of that?
I am. I do have a sense of pride of some of the things that I accomplished at Notre Dame, and that's definitely one of them. Tyler, don't get too close to the cheerleaders, man. Be careful there. but no, I do have a great. It was a good experience. It was a kind of a precursor to what Tim mentioned of doing football and law. I think I kind of have a bit of a masochist streak in that regard. It was not easy to kind of uproot from a place like Houston in the middle of winter in South Bend and come in January. I remember I literally left Texas with a chest and a massive jacket because I had barely seen snow right? And my recruiting visit to Notre Dame was in September, so it was beautiful. The leaves are, the leaves are just starting to fall.
This is how it always is at Notre Dame, Chris.
Yeah, right. Like smart on their part, right? But I remember when I came in, I can't remember who was the coach. I think it was it was Haywood and maybe Coach Oliver, Jappy Oliver at the time. There was a basketball game. We went to that, and then it was before like they got our dorms in place and stuff like that. So it was a process, and a lot of things just got worked out as we went along, right? And Notre Dame had a big the academics, first year studies and academics had like a big emphasis on making sure we didn't fall through the cracks academically, right? So we actually had more meetings to go to, like more check-ins, that didn't make the schedule any easier, but it was a good experience in that I got introduced to the business like very early, and realized like by the fall, I guess by the following spring, I already felt like I kind of knew what the full year was like, so it was helpful.
This is Game Day on Sports Radio WSBT and Sunny 101.5. We're with Chris Stewart. So let's get into some of your football memories, whatever, and I'll tax that little gray hair that you've got, because underneath my hat there is no hair. So, I'm a little older than that. Favorite opponent?
Oh, that's a hard one, man. That's hard because we play so many great ones in your time. Like in 4 years at Notre Dame, in the way we can be flexible with our schedule, you play different teams. I mean, like Arkansas today, like first time we've ever played, Arkansas. My favorite, I was really biased. I really like the games in September. My birthday's in September. I just had a birthday, September 12th. And that was around the time that we normally would play like Michigan back in those days, or, it would be like a actual opponent. And so I always kind of loved or hated my birthday for the 4 or 5 years, like, around playing Michigan. Really loved playing Michigan State. That was always a let me tighten my helmet kind of week. Like the dislike was real back in those days. And then I there's no way I could, leave without saying like playing the two West Coast teams like Stanford and USC. Always very interesting. Back in those days, USC had such great talent coming out of their defense with Ray Malaluga and all these guys. So I enjoyed playing the best. Like I really did. And it was always a good gauge of where you were and what your skill set was like after putting in all this work in the offseason and otherwise. So I would say those, like the Michigan States, USC and Stanford. Stanford got us a couple times. Would
your favorite venue be with one of those teams too?
No, I hate both of their. I hate all of their venues. I absolutely hate all of them because it coming from the SEC where it's common where fans will pour stuff on you or find a way to like spit at you or something. We never had that really, except for maybe Michigan State and Purdue, maybe here and there, some tussles. But oh my God, those teams were so good at making you uncomfortable in their locker rooms. Like I still think that Michigan State's locker room is, unless they've updated it for visiting teams, is trash. It's absolute trash. So
it's like the very, very narrow hallway that Notre Dame.
Yeah. I think
out, so they can't bring that big giant drum or anything out.
Yeah. It's just it's just like it's a mental thing, like not Iowa where they have like a pink locker room, but definitely something to make you uncomfortable. So and us having to travel across the country, thank God we had some money to charter stuff, but never really a comfortable thing. So no, I never liked those stadiums, not at all.
Hey Tyler, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just want to interject. It's not really a question, but it's more of an observation on the crazy parallels of our lives, Chris. I'm born and raised in Texas, so that's where I've spent most of my time, Dallas-Fort Worth area. I actually went to UT, but then after graduating with a journalism degree from there, I covered Mississippi State for 3 years. So I was living in Starkville for 3 years. Yeah, and now I'm here covering Notre Dame, obviously. So we've got the Texas checked off. We got the Mississippi and now the Notre Dame. So that's pretty cool.
Rare. That's rare to have the Mississippi in there, especially. Like
that's the wild card for sure. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool that our lives have kind of paralleled and we didn't even know it.
Yeah, I had no idea. And congratulations, man. I know it looks like I know you've been there in Arkansas. So
yep, appreciate it.
It's cool.
And he's right now. Are you in the parking lot or waiting in line to get in for the press box, Tyler?
He's by the cheerleaders.
Yeah, they actually just walked by, but that was not on purpose. That was not by design. Some of these stadiums, Eric will know this from his time going to games back in the day. I would say they get strict about when they let you in. In Arkansas, 9 a.m. means 9 a.m. I guess, which is kind of crazy because it's 11 a.m. local. We only got 2 hours before the game starts before we get in there. So there's a long line of media here waiting to get into the game. But once we get in there, I'll let you know what we see and everything. So
great. Hey, Chris, do you get to catch the Irish?
I do. I try my best not to miss games. I'll at least if I can't catch a game for any reason, what I'll do is, I know most people may not know this, but like the time in an actual game can be condensed to like 15 minutes of highlights. And so I'll try and always go and find the highlights and just try and see as many plays as possible in that fashion, clipped together, and just see how people are doing. Obviously, I'm focused on the offensive line a lot of times, like seeing how people are playing, how they're meshing together. But I do try and watch it. Although I told my wife this year I'm not going to get as involved or focused on it as last year with our playoff run, because we ended up going to 2 of the playoff games. She's like, we're just following this team around like a bunch of groupies, and I'm like, yeah, kind of. so I said this year I would watch and try not to be as passionate, but it's hard when you've played and bled blood, sweat, and tears to a program and still care about it. So yeah, I watch.
That's Chris Stewart. We're conversing, talking football with Chris before the game at Arkansas with the Razorbacks later today. So what are you seeing on when you're watching as an offensive lineman? And every player I talk to almost says the same thing. Whatever position they are in, that's what they end up in. They can't get that out of their system even when they're watching a game years later.
It's really hard when that was your job. Like when that was your job, you watch and I watch teams that I don't even care how they do. And yeah, you still watch from your position. I mean, I'm very optimistic, especially from the offensive line perspective. I know we had some bumps like in the first 2 games. That kind of is how it goes when you're really trying to get a new rotation of players in there. Obviously, you have your stalwart, like a Mill in them. But it always takes some time, even when you're doing well and maybe beating teams. One of the things I loved about playing the position is you really are trying your best to be perfect, knowing that you will never achieve perfection. And I do see in this group like a lot of determination, a lot of will, a lot of talent, obviously. And I think playing teams like Arkansas, getting another SEC opponent in there, it's only going to make them better. It's only going to make that room better. So I've seen some good things. Obviously, like everyone always sees the one sack in like the end of the game, or the one what was it last week with the rain delay? I think there was a sack given up right before that. So people always see that, but what you don't see are the intangibles, the games where we have a 2-headed monsters, at running back. Like you're going to have better plays than bad plays. So it's good. I think they're doing well. I think they're poised to really hit a streak of consistency for the rest of the season. I think that it was the first 3 games were good, even though we're 1-2. Like the first 3 games were the progression's there for sure.
You got it. Hey, before we let you go, we got a couple listener fans on here. One of them says they're a huge fan of yours and more of as a person and a representative of Notre Dame than football.
Oh, I'll take the compliment. Thank you.
And then we got another one says, Chris, can you suit up today?
No, not not the way these joints ache some days. No. But it is good. I was talking with someone recently. We were out and I got mistaken for like a current player on the Giants or something like that. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'm still staying in shape and look good. Like I'll take
Yeah.
it.
Hey, ride that bandwagon, get you in
Right?
the restaurants here in New York.
Like I'm 15 years out, man. Like I'm still getting the compliments. All right.
Being a Giants fan, can you suit up for the Giants,
Jesus.
please? I mean,
some teams just I don't know what to say, man.
Yeah.
I don't
So
know.
are you
welcome Jackson Dart to this.
so are you
Yeah.
a Giants or a Jets fan now since you're in New York?
You know, I do watch them. I had a little time with the Jets when I came out of Notre Dame, and so I do watch those teams. Um, I'm not a fan of really any NFL team other than just kind of I used to for the last I don't know 5-10 years or so. You know, I say I watch the NFL to watch friends or to see how people are doing and progressing in their careers. Now I'm getting to the age where like the people I know are now senior statesmen, like it's just McGlinchey and all them and Joe. I mean, Ronnie Stanley, like they're veterans. Like, so,
right.
we're kind of on the tail end, especially with Zach Martin retiring, like just kind of on the tail end of people to watch from a personal perspective. So I find myself watching a little bit less. Although I love to watch big matchups. Like I've already told my wife, like I'm watching Dallas and Green Bay because I think Michael Parsons is going to go crazy. so I do watch, but if the when it comes to actually being emotionally invested, I'm emotionally invested in this team, and that's about it.
Irish for Life 99 on YouTube wants to know if you still play the harp.
No, I never played the harp, and it's so funny because this literally came. This has been a recurring question in my entire life because of my friend Drew, who was with me in London for a study abroad program. He took this picture of this class we were in where the teacher was showing people how to play the harp, and that photo circulated in Notre Dame. Like,
it's forever yours.
It's forever mine. And people actually ask me sometimes, like, "Oh, you play the harp still?" I never played the harp. Like,
if playing the harp means just strumming your finger along at once,
sure.
Okay.
Hey, Chris, time flies. Thanks so much for spending time with you. I hope
thanks for having me.
Saturday for you.
Thank you. Great to see you guys. Eric, great to see you. Tim, great to see you.
All right.
And thanks for having me on.
We'll get you again another year.
All right. Sounds good.
Right. Go Irish.
Go Irish. Y'all take care.
Thank you. We'll be back on Game Day on Sports Radio, WSBT and Sunny 101.5.
Pre- and post-game coverage presented by Cheers Bar and Grill, your post-game headquarters for blue and gold football. Also brought to you by State Farm Insurance agent Tim Growell. Who's that guy? For all of your insurance and financial needs, give Tim's agency a call at 574-232-9981. Did you guys happen to see the Florida State game last night, the Florida State-Virginia game?
I flipped it on the last 2 minutes of regulation and then also overtime.
I was kind of wondering because I saw, the field storm.
Oh,
it was instant, and it was everybody in the stadium.
I couldn't understand that. It was my mind. I'm blinking my eyes.
Yeah.
I've seen fields rush before,
Right.
but nothing like that.
I'm really kind of wondering, what about those 4 players that were in that corner of the end zone?
Oh, you're exactly right. That's what I was like. All the players, because
Yeah.
it was just like
it was
like a tidal wave.
Yeah, like how?
I've never.
And I know that conferences they're fining team. I think the SEC fines like some 6-digit number or
Yeah.
something. I think the ACC is doing the same thing. But how do you do security for something like where it's just a crush?
You just
like
get
that?
it. You get out of the way.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just like
This is-
matador. I'm just like Olay.
Right, right. Let them through. Let them through. This is Game Day on Sports Radio WSBT and Sunny 101.5. Tim Growell, Jim Marizari, Eric Hansen, and Tyler's taking a break right now as he gets into the stadium, I think, and heading up to the press box. So we'll continue with the analysis of Arkansas with Eric. Eric, let's look at defense, and I'm going to start with a 380-pound plus defensive tackle. Man, when you guys were talking about the running backs big and the quarterback big, man, they've got all sorts of big players. 380 plus pounds. Eric, you're on mute.
I'm sorry, I was
Okay.
kind of sitting things out there. Ian Jefford is a redshirt sophomore. He was over 400 pounds when he was being recruited by Arkansas. 6'5", and he is 387 now. I think he said he's actually in the 390s. Big guy. Did a handstand during his recruiting visit to Arkansas, and that's what kind of sold the Arkansas coaches that he'd have the mobility to go along with that size.
Wow.
There was some plays in the Memphis game where the Memphis guys put him on his back. So it can be done. But yeah, you look at their defensive line, their interior is 6'5", 323, 6'5", 387. And then they're on the edges, they are 278 and 275. So it's a big defensive line. Can you take advantage of that with your quickness? Can you do some things where their pursuit maybe isn't as good? And so the one guy you have to watch on the defensive line, I think, is Quincy Rhodes Jr., 6'6", 275, edge player. I think he's their best defensive lineman. But yeah, they sure have size.
We're talking about the defensive line, or Tyler. I was bringing up the 380 some guy. Eric was filling us in with all the big sizes.
Man.
They grow them big down there.
Yeah, did we talk about the 380-pound guy getting dragged by a 200-pound quarterback, though? Was that last week or was it the Ole Miss
It was
game?
the Memphis game.
Memphis game, okay. Not a great look.
It's not good.
Marcus Freeman was mentioning buy-in a lot for Notre Dame's defense this week. I think Arkansas could use a little bit of the same. They could use some buy-in because, like you say, Jim and Sid, like they have SEC caliber players. Like you see them, they're out there. Quincy Rhodes is definitely one of those. I agree with Eric that he's probably the guy that can wreak the most havoc for Arkansas up front. But it's like, is the buy-in there? Are they doing all the right things to put themselves into positions to get to CJ Carr, to win their one-on-one matchups? And quite frankly, when you're talking about the defensive line for Arkansas, it needs to be, can they stop the runs? Because that is an Arkansas thing right now, is that they can't do that. And it's also a Notre Dame thing on the other side of the ball, that's what they do. They hand the ball to Jeremiah Love, Darian Price, run behind the offensive line and let them go. So if I'm an Arkansas fan, I am very worried about the matchup. Notre Dame's offensive line playing better. You got the two best running backs in the country in tandem, and the defensive line has not really shown an ability to to stop anybody, despite the talent and the size that they have there.
Eric, let's move into the second level. How about their linebacking crew?
I mean, they're decent. I mean, they have good athletes. You wonder about the cohesiveness of this team. To be 87th in the country against run defense, you played Ole Miss and Memphis, but you also played a couple of cupcakes, and that's a bad number to be this deep into the season and then getting ready to play a Notre Dame team that's finding itself with the run game. I think the other thing with the linebackers in the back end is they haven't been good at third down. They're one of the worst third down conversion defenses in the country. And so that's why I'm glad I'm not doing the scoring summary today, because I think it's going to be a sidebar in itself.
That falls on me. That falls on me, Eric.
You got it, Tyler?
Yeah. There is a player that you need to watch for Arkansas in the linebacker core, though, is Xavier Sorey. Like, he's another one of the guys like Quincy Rhodes, where you see the size, you see the talent, you're like, okay, that guy's going to make the plays in this game that gives Arkansas a chance. But then you watch in the Memphis game, I think he was pretty much, I wouldn't say solely responsible for giving up a 60-yard rush in that game, but he was in position to make the play, to limit that gain, and he didn't do it. So it's like, it's the questions with the Arkansas defense right now. It's why aren't they bringing the guys to the ground sooner? Why aren't they making the stops sooner? And it's at all levels. I talked about the defensive line a minute ago, but it's the linebacker core too, because you've got some guys there who can do it. They just haven't been doing it in the first 4 games of the season.
And Tim, as far as size, I mean, they have a linebacker that's 246 and Steven Dix Jr. They have 2 safeties that are over 220. I mean, they're just a big team everywhere, but can they keep up with the speed of Notre Dame? Which is funny, because 10 years ago to say Notre Dame could outrun an SEC team would be laughable, and now it's kind of reality.
Yeah.
Let's just summarize real quickly, if we can, the defensive backfield, Eric.
Yeah, again, a couple of really good physical safeties back there. But Arkansas has had problems with some explosive plays in terms of giving those up in the passing game. And that's where, again, Jordan Faison, Malachi Fields, it's going to be really interesting to see those matchups. Tyler's talked about Jaden Greathouse getting some touches. I mean, this may be a game where he has the speed, again, against those big safeties, where he shows up in the red zone and on third down. So I like Notre Dame offense in this matchup. I had to do the matchups for this game, and I picked offenses in every matchup against all the defensive matchups. So I'm going to sound like a broken record with all these levels. Advantage Notre Dame, advantage Notre Dame, advantage in Notre Dame, except, I guess, with the scales.
Well, it's going to be interesting that we put everything together in the next hour. We'll start out with the Fighting Irish Stratego, see how you guys take all your comments and your knowledge and put together and see how you're going to pit against each other. And we're going to do that in the second hour of Game Day right here on Sports Radio 90, Sports Radio, WSBT, and Sunny 101.5. Man, you got some good music going there.
Welcome back to Game Day.
You got
Anyway,
it.
sorry about that.
That's okay.
Pre and post game coverage presented by Cheers Bar and Grill, your post game headquarters for blue and gold football.
Welcome back to another hour of Game Day. I'm Tim Grau along with Jim Arizari and also the senior writer for blueandgold.com, Eric Hansen, and the indie beat reporter for blueandgold.com. That would be Tyler Horka, who's blank at the moment. So there he is. He just came aboard. We'll find out exactly where he's at. But remember, right after the game at 11 a.m. will be the Fighting Irish Network pregame show with kickoff just after 12 noon. Then after the game, it's time to join our own Jim Arizari for the Indy Overtime for all the review of the game, plus all the stats and the interviews, all that on Sports Radio WSBT, Sunny 101.5, streamed at WSBTradio.com. Catch us through the WSBT radio app. I can't talk today. And I stayed up late, but not that late, like three in the morning, maybe. That was it.
Only
my wife's out of town and the dog missed our dog missed my wife and just kept whining, didn't want to settle down all night long. Yeah. Anyway, I'll use any excuse I can for my fumbling words sometimes. So let's get going. And we're going to do our new feature, Fighting Irish Stratego.
Stratego, Milton Bradley's terrific game of strategy for two. Fast, easy to play, and exciting. You command captains, lieutenants, and colonels. You may capture an international spy or be destroyed by a hidden bomb. Capture the enemy's flag and win the game. Stratego, a strategy game from Milton Bradley.
And we've commandeered that to be the Fighting Irish Stratego. We're going to take everything that we kind of heard about from on both teams and let Hansen and Horka go at it. So first of all, we're going to start with Eric's Notre Dame offense versus Tyler's Arkansas defense. Take it away, Eric.
Well, I think the biggest step in CJ Carr's evolution last week was being really good at the line of scrimmage in terms of changing plays and getting Notre Dame from either a bad play into a good play or a good play into a great play. And I would take advantage of that. So a lot of this is going to happen at the line of scrimmage. But in general, I'm leaning into my run game just as I did against the Purdue's defense. I think this is where Arkansas is vulnerable, and then mix it up so you can put them on their heels with your deep passing game, because I think Arkansas is vulnerable to Jordan Faison. I think Malachi Fields is going to be a problem for them. And as I mentioned, this may be the game where we see the slot receivers more involved. And Ty Washington's going to want his catches, but we'll see if that becomes a priority.
Tyler, take it away. What are you going to counter with your Arkansas defense?
I do as well as I can against the run, because we know that Notre Dame's going to come in and want to run the football. I've probably said it 5 times on this show already. Notre Dame won a football game last week only throwing the ball 12 times. They probably didn't have to throw it once, and they still could have won. I know the first play of the game was a deep ball to Malachi Fields, and that kind of got the whole thing going. And, you're saying, Tyler, that's not a running play, obviously, 66-yard touchdown through the air. But you notice that was play action. If I'm Arkansas today, do as well as I can against the run. Like I said, that's going to be Notre Dame's bread and butter. And just don't bite on the play action. Don't get beat for the 66-yard touchdown like Purdue did. Don't get beat for the 48-yard touchdown like Purdue did to Jordan Faison. So it's match up front as well as I can, and then limit the explosives through the air.
So try not to add to the explosive play page in the game notes, right?
Exactly. Easier said than done.
Right.
You got that right. Hey, Tyler, you've got the Indy defense now versus Eric's Arkansas offense. Take it away.
Sorry, they're rolling some food carts by me here, and that probably doesn't sound very good on the ears. But, with Notre Dame's defense, obviously it all centers around slowing down Taylor Green. I absolutely think that he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country, players in the country, beats you with the arm, beats you with the legs. Big kid, imposing football player in a way that you don't get all the time. I think you're seeing a lot more of these small, shifty quarterbacks who are more savvy. And don't get me wrong, Taylor Green has a lot of that in his game. but he can beat you with brute force as well. Arm strength is crazy. So it's stop Taylon Green. And if you can do that, again, this is one of those things that's more easier said than done. It does really all go through him. It's not one of those games where it's like, okay, we have to key in on this running back or key in on this receiver. It's no, key in on the quarterback. Do not let him beat you. And he's going to beat you at times. He's going to have some plays that you're like, you know what, tip your cap. But don't let those be too many, because if there are, you're going to find yourself in a shootout, and Arkansas could absolutely win this game if Taylon Green has the type of outburst that he's shown he's capable of.
Eric, how are you going to counter with your Arkansas offense?
Just show up. No, they're very, very good in every aspect. So what I'm going to attack Notre Dame with is Taylon Green in the run game, him running the ball, and then I would take some deep shots. Now, whether Leonard Moore plays or not is a big factor in how I attack Notre Dame, because if Christian Gray's on Omega Blake, I feel a lot better about that matchup. I also feel better about the other wide receiver matchups. Even if Devontae Smith is in the game, he hasn't played since the Miami game. So I feel pretty confident about those matchups. So I'm going to take some deep shots. But if I'm Arkansas, I've got to take care of the ball. That's got to be the priority. You look up and down their numbers. There's not a weakness. They're 6th in third down conversions, 8th in total offense, but they're 95th in turnovers lost. So really take care of the ball against Notre Dame, because that would be the equalizer against Notre Dame's defense, unless Marcus Freeman has come up with a brilliant schematic wrinkle.
Well, we know that happens, right?
Well, could.
We like wrinkles.
Could. I love that uneasy. It could happen.
Hey, Eric, you're going to take our Notre Dame special teams with our punter that doesn't get the chance to punt, and the rest of the special teams.
He's well rested.
There he is.
He is well rested. Both these teams are good in the punting game, but I don't think we'll see much of it. Net punting, Notre Dame's 27th, Arkansas is 15th. Arkansas's kicker has had some issues with field goals, so that'll be really interesting. Having Noah Burnett back, I think, is key for Notre Dame. Neither one of these teams are very good in the coverage game, but Notre Dame is the better team in both the return games. Jadarian Price with the kickoff returns, Jordan Faison with the punt returns. Notre Dame has the superiority there. And, they better watch the fakes. Notre Dame got caught on a fake last week, so don't want to play into that. Maybe this is the week we see some special teams fun from Notre Dame as far as fakes.
All right, Tyler, how about your special teams? We didn't even really get a chance to cover that in the rest of the show previously, so this will all be new news to us.
I think it all stems from with what Eric just left us with, is that for Arkansas, you don't have to win this game on special teams. I think your formula for a victory very much runs through your own offense and maybe some of the stops that you can get on defense that would be bonuses. So for me, from a Razorbacks special teams perspective, is please tackle Jadarian Price in a way that Purdue did not. And don't let Marty Biaggi be a reason that Notre Dame wins this game, because we've seen the Irish go on the road. I look at the Tyler Buckner pass on a fake punt at USC. I remember the Georgia Tech game where there were a couple different trickeries there involving Tyler Buckner. Don't let that happen to you here today, because Marty Biaggi can sneak up on the road and make the home team sit there for a minute and think, did that really just happen against us, on our own field here? So don't get too cute if you're Arkansas in terms of what you're doing as a special teams, but don't let Notre Dame's ability to get cute beat you, because it can. And I guarantee you, like Eric said, Marty Biaggi might have something up his sleeve.
This is Gameday on Sports Radio WSBT and Sunny 101.5. That was Tyler Horka from blueandgold.com, and we got Eric Hansen, blueandgold.com. WSBT, we got Jim Arizari, and I'm your humble facilitator, Tim Growell. So we're doing our Fighting Irish Stratego, and we're going to end up with the intangibles. Tyler,
Humble.
you've got What's that?
Humble. Anyway.
Humble. Ah, geez. Tyler, you got the Indy intangibles, and what are you considering intangibles?
It's the environment, it's the circumstances, all of those things, obviously, that go beyond the coaches, the players, and whatnot. So, with the environment, Notre Dame, you've never been here before. Don't get starstruck. I get it. This is not, Georgia. You've been to Georgia before. If you're Notre Dame, of course, these players haven't. But like as a program, you've been to big time SEC stadiums. Tennessee, Texas is one now. A&M last year. But I guarantee you, these Arkansas fans, and Eric's probably going to talk about it here in a minute, are going to be up for this one, and they're going to say, "Hey, Notre Dame is in our building for the first time. Let's do something about that and send them home unhappy." So, from a Notre Dame side of things, don't let that phase you. And then it's like the desperation factor. I wrote at blueandgold.com this morning. I do a last word column. It's kind of my final thoughts. Concise 400-word column that just kind of says, hey, here's the deal today. And I kind of let it with, don't let Arkansas out-desperate you. Like, don't let their desperation be more than yours. Because Notre Dame's desperate to keep its season alive, and the only way to do that is with a win. Arkansas is desperate to maybe keep Sam Pittman around. Sam Pittman's absolutely desperate to stick around and want to win this game. This is a job-saving type of game for Sam Pittman. And, the players understand that too, and they'll play for the pride of their head coach and whatnot. So if you're Notre Dame, be more desperate. Like, say, hey, we have to win all of these things to get into the college football playoff conversation, and that's that. So be desperate and be more desperate than Arkansas.
Eric, you have Arkansas's intangibles.
Well, if I were Arkansas, I would read Tyler's 400-word, concisely written last word column. He sold me on it, so I'm going to read it when we're done. For Arkansas, it's a stripe out today, which means they have to be color coordinated in terms of, what you wear to the game and where you sit. I'm not sure that I could pull that off or that Notre Dame could pull it off, but Tyler references.
Eric, it looks. Hold your thought, and please don't forget it, because I know you're going to say something super smart here in a second. But the students are filing in, and the one section that I see that they're filling up right now, everybody is wearing white. So I imagine the next section over, everyone's going to be wearing red. If executed properly, it could look pretty cool today.
Yeah.
Oklahoma pulled that off in 2012. They couldn't pull off the victory against Notre Dame, but they did pull off the stripe out. So Tyler references, this is desperation time for Arkansas. Sam Pittman's future's on the line in this season, and a loss today would, I think, really take the air out of this season for Arkansas. They have a lot of good games left. They have a lot of opportunities to climb back into the national scene. But, man, losing to Memphis on the road by a point last week, losing to Ole Miss, to a backup quarterback at Ole Miss that was playing Division II football last year, has really put them in a bad place. As Sam Pittman was the toast of Fayetteville in 2021, he got an extension, but it's kind of, the act is kind of worn thin. And so this is a chance for Arkansas to get back into relevance. If not, I think this is something that could spiral the other way for Arkansas.
I love it. All the comments, all the strategy is what we'd like to do a little differently. So you can just swallow everything they both said, because I tell you what, I go start watching the game, and everything they say a lot of times is almost exactly like they're in the coaches' heads or something. It just works out that way. So I appreciate
not every time, Tim.
Not every time, but quite a bit of time. Quite a bit of time. You guys are good at that, so I appreciate that. And we're going to come right back. I'm going to have to do my second punt of the day. Michael Floyd just let me know that he cannot make it. So during the break here, we'll get things squared up on what we're going to follow up with next. But that happens. He says his wife leaving the house was not on the family calendar. I'm stuck with the kids and I can't hear you by doing that, but he apologized. We'll catch him on later in the season. Things happen. This is Sports Radio WSBT on the Game Day Show, Sunny 101.5.
Sports Radio, WSBT, and Sunny 101.5. It is game day, part of our pregame coverage, presented by Cheers Bar and Grill, your post-game headquarters for blue and gold football. Also brought to you by South Bend Orthopedics, Academy Sports and Outdoors, Wakarusa Ag, First State Bank, and by State Farm agent Tim Growl.
Oh, live radio.
You getting back in there?
I'm getting back in there.
All right.
I'm getting back in there.
I thought your timing was a little odd on that.
Yeah, well, things happen, at my age and stuff. So, hey, we're back on game day on the Sports Radio WSBT and on Sunny 101.5. We appreciate you all joining us through the YouTube channel at the Sports Radio WSBT, and those of you that are streaming also. Man, I'm so old. I've been with this station that all you have was one call sign, and that was it.
Yeah, right.
Now I got everything that we're on. But we love it, and we love your comments, so keep them coming in. Also, was going to be mentioned that the people were talking about suggesting names for the music and football part. That maybe somebody can send in a good song that we can use for Stratego.
Yeah, maybe.
Something else if they like to do that. So just
they're playing Led Zeppelin at the stadium right now. They're playing Led Zeppelin.
Michael Floyd, he apologizes that he's not going to be able to make the phone call today. Something came up at home. So we're going to switch in gear here. And let's, first of all, if it's okay, guys, let's talk about the remaining schedule and get some comments on the opponents. We've got a little history on some of the opponents now too, and what they've done in the past. But we've got Boise State next week, Eric. So little thumbnail talk about that.
Well, it'll be the return of Jaden Mickey to Notre Dame Stadium. He is a nickelback in Boise State's defense. He is a kind of a part-time starter. He's had one really good game. He only played on special teams last week. Boise, as a team, not good on defense. They've really struggled on defense this year. They're number 97 in the country in total defense. And kind of the theme for a lot of Notre Dame opponents, they're very good on offense. They're very balanced, even with Ashton Genty, last year's Heisman Trophy runner-up, not being on the roster anymore. They're still one of the better running offenses, 11th in total offense, and they don't give up a lot of sacks. So, again, whoever runs the scoreboard at Notre Dame Stadium is probably going to get a little bit worn out in that game when Boise comes to town and that first-time opponent.
Gonna earn their keep. Gonna get some overtime pay.
They're already at a disadvantage because they're used to playing on a blue field and not a nice green field and everything.
God, that hurts my head every time I watch it. God.
It's something I've always wanted to ask people. So let me ask you guys as professionals and stuff. Tyler, what do you think of that blue field?
Never been a fan. Even so I'm on the younger side, obviously, and Boise State, like Kellen Moore, they were doing the thing as I was coming up and coming into being a college football fan. And even as a kid during that time, I would see the blue field and I'm like, that's not right. That doesn't sit well with me. So, hey, football fields are supposed to look like this, by the way. Natural grass in all of its glory and beauty. It looks amazing down there. I can't wait to step foot down there.
Eric, you're a traditionalist. Thumbs down for the blue field.
It doesn't bother me too much. I wouldn't want to see it on a weekly basis. I've seen it in person. I covered a basketball game out there. It was an NCAA tournament game. IU played LSU when Shaquille O'Neal was the center for LSU, and Bobby Knight was going crazy that year.
Just that year?
Yeah, just that year. But I did go over and look at the blue turf in person, and it's it's kind of like uniforms. Everybody goes nuts about them. I don't even notice them unless they're really cool or really bad. Nothing's worse than Maryland's uniform. It looks like a fried egg and a Bloody Mary at a baby.
Actually, those are two pretty good combinations, especially
to eat, but not to look at.
Right. All right, Tyler, how about you take North Carolina State? Little thumbnail review of them.
Yeah, off the top of my head, Eric might be able to help me. I can't remember the quarterback's name, but he's
Bailey.
Yeah, Bailey's phenomenal, and kind of reminds me of an Arkansas situation in the sense that, like, going into the year, you don't really look at NC State on your schedule and go, oh yeah, that's the team, especially with the game being in South Bend. That's the team that's going to get you if you're the Irish. But what we know now about Notre Dame's defense and what we know about that quarterback, for the same reasons I'm a little bit worried about Notre Dame today, especially with this game being on the road, I'm a little bit worried about that NC State game because the kid can play. And, like, if you get into a shootout type of game, all bets are off. Who's going to make the play? Marcel Reed, for example. He made the play at the end of the game. We can talk about the holding and whatnot, but he made the plays all game. He threw for 360 yards and was a big-time playmaker. So that's what worries me about NC State is that quarterback.
Eric, you get Southern Cal, USC.
Well, offensively, they are really, really good. Jaden Mayava, who was their quarterback at the end of last year, who Notre Dame saw in their game, it's a rerun of that. And they've added a really good running element to their game, not from him, but from their running backs. They are very balanced offensively. One of the more powerful offenses Notre Dame will face this year, if not the most powerful. And defensively, they've held up okay. They've been pretty good against the run. They get after the quarterback well. They're third in sacks. They're really good in the red zone. But there's cracks elsewhere in their pass defense that are starting to show. So again, get ready for the scoreboard to light up at Notre Dame Stadium when those two teams play, maybe for the last time, scheduled in a while.
Yeah, and let's talk about that just for a few seconds or minutes here, Eric. More comments coming out again about the extending the series, not extending the series. Seems like, I think the latest one I heard about, they want us to go play like in Mexico City or some other city, foreign city.
Well, Marcus Freeman said he'll play them anywhere, anytime. So I guess they would take them up on it. To me, the beauty of that series is playing the games at their home field. This isn't a Shamrock Series type of venue. And it can be at a different time of year. They've been in this pattern for a couple decades or so where they've shared it with Stanford. So you either end the season at Stanford or you end it at USC, and then the opposite team comes to Notre Dame Stadium in the middle of October. That's worked well for Notre Dame with those teams no longer in the same conference, with the Big Ten having their way of wanting to do things with non-conference scheduling. It may not be able to happen anymore where that's the last game of the season. But I don't like it being an off-site game. I don't think that's what this rivalry is about.
I think we all agree, totally agree with that. That's Eric Hansen, and we also have Tyler Horka, Jim Irizarry, and myself, Tim Grell, on Sports Radio WSBT. It's game day. And let's go, Tyler. We're going to take you for Boston College.
Yeah, it's another one of those things where we talked about the intangibles in our Stratego segment there. It's like Notre Dame's schedule is a little interesting in the sense that I'm on the road right now sitting in the Arkansas sun, and we're about to watch Notre Dame play a road game. But the next time that we do that, it'll be November, and it's late September right now. So
wow.
I'm not –
Go to Boston. Yeah, that's – what a concept that.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of burning up right now, guys. I'm not gonna lie, but
sun looks pretty.
I'm so sorry
pretty hard
to
on
hear
you,
that.
So. No, hey, I'm from the South, so I can handle this. But
you're used to it.
I'm gonna sound like a broken record once we actually start looking at the teams again too, because Eric just talked about Jaden Mayava, who I think is an exceptional player, and I watched a little bit of that Michigan State game after we got back from the rain delay game last week in the Purdue game, and he's a pinpoint passer. He's a big kid. You love him at the quarterback position. Boston College has Dylan Lonergan. If you want to rattle off his stats right now, he's completing 73.2% of his passes, which is an outstanding number. 991 yards right now, so almost 1,000. 9 touchdowns, 1 interception. It's like, I think Eric was getting at this either on this show or our YouTube show. Like, Notre Dame has some really good quarterbacks on the schedule, and and Boston College has one as well. So for the Irish, between all that time that I mentioned, end of September, early November, figure out your pass defense, figure out your pass rush, find the defensive backs that you're comfortable and confident in, get Leonard more healthy, because these teams with big-time quarterbacks are coming up on the schedule quickly. And, again, you're going to see one in Taylon Green today, but you're going to see a lot throughout the rest of the season.
Apparently on College Game Day on ESPN, Freeman said that they're going to warm up Leonard more today and see where he is. So
it was kind of cool. I saw Marcus Freeman doing that segment. They do the AirPods thing these days, right, where the coach is on the field walking around. I was looking down at the field watching him do that live, so that was pretty cool.
So, Eric, talking about all the great quarterbacks, even the Navy quarterback is throwing more often and with some success. So what's your touch points on Navy?
Well, I mean, it's a real gear shift from going from Boston College. Boston College is number one in pass offense, 130 in rush offense. Flip that the next week. Navy's one in rush offense, 129 in passing offense. But you're right, the quarterback does throw well. They're 11th in pass efficiency. So you have to not fall asleep against them. Then you go back to Pitt the week after, 19 in pass offense, 117 in rush offense. Syracuse is similarly constructed. All four of those opponents, very unbalanced offenses, and Navy is the curveball in there. I'm telling you about Navy, we won't know a lot about them because usually they have a little bit more gristle in their schedule early. They don't this year. They very well could be undefeated when they come to Notre Dame Stadium in November.
Tyler, you've got Pittsburgh, and the name of their coach escapes me, but I know he doesn't like Notre Dame.
Yeah, I could have definitely led with that. Pat Narduzzi's definitely going to want to win that game. And, again, there's the road element there for Notre Dame, but broken record times 3 or 4 or 5, whatever it is. Now, Eli Holstein, their quarterback, 66% of his passes are being completed, 822 yards, 9 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Like, in a way, Notre Dame's pass defense looked pretty good last year because I think you didn't get a lot of great quarterbacks on the schedule. You played 2 option teams. When you played Georgia Tech, their starter wasn't even playing. Jaden Mayava at that point was very new to starting games. You're getting veterans on this Notre Dame schedule. Eli Holstein is another one of those. And as a whole, these teams aren't entirely scary. But when you match up Notre Dame's weakness on defense and these abilities to throw the ball with some of these guys, it's like you better see the improvements from the Notre Dame defense because these good quarterbacks are coming on the schedule.
Next one up on the schedule is Syracuse, Eric. That's going to be a little less, exciting, or since that unfortunate Achilles injury to Steve Angeli.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. And the good news, Syracuse coach Fran Brown believes that Steve Angeli, after surgery, will be available for Syracuse in 2026 and that he'll be able to go through spring practice. Now, Notre Dame does play Syracuse again next season. It's up in Syracuse next year. So that's a good thing. But I'll tell you what, the other quarterback on that team is very good, Ricky Collins. He started his career under Brian Kelly at LSU. So they have a similar situation in Notre Dame. They lose Angeli, they plug in Ricky Collins. I think Kenny Minchie is that kind of quarterback. But I know Notre Dame loves where CJ Carr is going, but I'm just saying Notre Dame has a very good number 2 quarterback. But again, very imbalanced offense, 4 in passing offense, 106th in rushing offense. And they're a team that's been challenged defensively. They got that big win at Clemson. So that's a feather in their cap. But I think it's going to be really interesting. I'm sure Steve Angeli will be at Notre Dame Stadium cheering on his teammates, but can't say enough good things about Steve Angeli and what he brought to the program as a backup during his time at Notre Dame.
And he was having a successful year so far.
Yeah, he was having a great year.
Yeah, he was. He was putting up big numbers. He'd get sacked, but he'd get up from that and then throw a touchdown.
Yeah, that's the kind of competitor he is. So the annual West Coast trip for the final game, it's usually a California team one way or the other. It's either Stanford or USC. This happens to be Stanford. So what do you got on Stanford, Tyler?
Yeah, we got a quarterback that Notre Dame's actually very familiar with, when Ben Branson, who started against the Irish in the Sun Bowl for Oregon State. I give him a pass in that game because Oregon State, I don't even think you could call them Oregon State in that game. I don't know what they were. They were playing their third and fourth stringers aplenty. But I don't think that Ben Branson fits into the oh my gosh, this quarterback is really scary narrative that I've been feeding y'all for the last 5 minutes. And that probably has more to do with Stanford than Ben Branson. 1-3, a lot of blowout losses so far. Program is in disarray. They don't even know who their head coach is going to be next year because Frank Reich is just this fill-in. Andrew Luck, you have a lot of work on your hands as the general manager of that program. I don't know where Notre Dame will be record-wise, outlook-wise at that time in the regular season finale, but I can tell you Stanford's not going to be in a good place, and Notre Dame will be a heavy favorite in that game.
With Andrew Luck being the general manager of Stanford, is that the kind of job that's going to make him wish that he didn't retire from the Colts?
It could be. I know he likes that program, loves that program, and if anyone can save it, it's him. But I don't know if it can be saved by anybody, to be completely honest.
So, Eric, you get the last one. Oh, there's no game on there unless it's a playoff game. So let's just ask this. If we win out the rest of the games, pretty assured of being playoff bound?
I think probably better chance than not, because it'll be a 10-game winning streak, and then Notre Dame, to win all those games, will have had to improve on defense at that point. And they need to make those first 2 games kind of look like outliers where people say, okay, CJ Carr wasn't the CJ we're seeing now. Their defense finally got it together. They're letting the media call the defensive calls, and so they're in a much better place. So, but they're going to have to depend on a lot of other people. I mean, the committee's going to have a decision to make. At 11-1, you take it out of the committee's hands. At 10-2, you're going to sweat a little bit. But I think, again, if they show that they are a much different and better team, then there's a good argument for Notre Dame at 10-2.
If they do make it, is that a home game or a road game?
I would think it's a road game. I don't think that they could get up into the point where they could be in the top 8 seeds. I mean, they'd have to be 5 through 8 to get that home game. Maybe they sneak in at number 8, but I think probably more realistic, is that they're going to be maybe 9 or 10. They're doing it differently this year than last year. So those conference champions don't automatically get seeded in the top 4. So you figure the group of 5 champ is going to be 12, and then maybe the Big 12 champ might be 11, and then Notre Dame probably is fighting for the 9-10 spot.
Great job, guys. I appreciate you doing the segue, and the professionals that you are. You were all ready for it, and that was some great analysis and stuff. We're going to be back on Sports Radio WSBT and at Sunny 101.5. Remember, if you can stream at the WSBT Radio through WSBTradio.com or at the WSBT Radio app, where you can also find a podcast of each and every game day. If you miss it, you can pick it up on Sunday and take a listen to the show. We'll be right back. Oh, what is that? I don't know who that is.
That is Charlie Rich rolling with the flow.
My goodness gracious. Charlie Rich. Used to listen. My dad used to listen to him all the time and stuff too. Hey, this is Game Day on Sports Radio, WSBT and Sunny 101.5. We're getting ready to slowly wrap this up. We're going to talk about the polling a little bit with Eric, but Tyler's got to get going here. He's up in the press box. So let's get Tyler's sense of his couple sentences or more, or minute or more, whatever, what you think today's game is going to turn out to be, and then a score, please. You're muted.
Hey, Tyler, you're muted, bud.
Hard to see in that Arkansas sun.
Yeah.
Well, we'll go on.
I'll tell you, he picked Notre Dame to win 92-87. That was his prediction.
Oh, he forgot which sport it was. I got you there. I got it.
No, he didn't. He's seen these defenses play.
That's a good point. Yeah. there's not much in the way of defense between these two schools right now. So
yeah.
Tyler Harka, can you hear us now? We can hear the background noise with Tyler, but yeah, the sun I think is probably playing havoc.
Are you there now, Tyler? Yep.
Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We hear you.
Okay, I'm trying to connect to this Wi-Fi and it's not working, and I'm starting to lose cell reception because I think the stadium's filling up. But if you can hear me, I'll give my pick real quick. But I do want to let y'all know that I'm watching Leonard Moore warm up, and I'm doing air quotes right now because as his defensive back mates, his cornerbacks go through their backpedaling drills and get loose and do all the things, he's standing on the sideline with a football in his hand, not doing all of those things.
Oh, okay.
I would not expect Leonard Moore to play in this football game today, quite simply. Does that affect my pick? Kind of, yes. I don't know. I've been 50-50 on this game all week. I originally had Arkansas winning by a point just because I didn't know, and I gave the Sam Pittman factor and the home field factor a little bit of an edge. But the more I think about it, I think Arkansas's defense is even in more disarray than that of Notre Dame. I like the way Notre Dame's offense is humming. CJ Carr's not going to be afraid of this moment. We saw that at Miami. The road environment's not going to get to him. I think the Irish offense ends up making more plays than a very good Arkansas offense. And I've got the Fighting Irish winning today's game, even without Leonard Moore, 40-35.
Ooh, close game. Offensive showdown, but a close game.
So we are taking the over.
All right, Tyler.
We're taking the over.
You can get going over there. Thanks a lot. You have a good game.
All right, I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Eric, we're going to go just slide right in. We'll table the poll section. Let's just go right into your synopsis of what's going to happen tonight and then a final score.
Well, we had someone on our message board post this last night, and I think they nailed it. I think the story of this game is how much influence can Marcus Freeman have on the defense in a week's time. And I know it's not just a week's time, but really injecting himself into the equation. I think you hold Arkansas to 30 points or less. That's a huge win.
Yeah.
I am not predicting that'll happen, but I think they'll hold them to few enough points to win this game with Notre Dame's powerful offense. So I'm going with Notre Dame 41, Arkansas 34.
All right. Still a high scoring game.
Yeah.
So do we punt today?
I'm going to say Notre Dame does not punt today. I think they will have a fake punt in their one opportunity to punt.
I think our punter's looking into the NIL. He wants to transfer because he wants to get action.
Well, he's got to transfer back to Australia then. He's like 38 years old.
That's great. Well, we appreciate it, Eric. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Hey, we want to thank everybody, all your listeners and our sponsors that make all this possible. Stand by because next is the Notre Dame Network pregame show.
Make a pick.
Oh, am I going to make a pick?
Yeah,
I'm just
you
going to
make
let
a
that go. Okay. I have 38-21.
38-21. Okay.
How about you? Sorry, you're right. I went right into that.
Yeah, right. Let's see, 4.5 points. Notre Dame's a 4.5 point favorite today. The over is ridiculous. 63.5 on this game.
63.5.
Yeah. So Tyler and Eric are both pounding the over on this one.
I saw that a number of sports people were doing
Yeah.
that. They were all going scores in the 40s.
I mean, you kind of got that with without any semblance of defense, really,
right.
to be shown. But the thing for me is, I think Notre Dame's got the talent to turn it around defensively and make the play that they need to make at the end of the game against Arkansas.
We just have to see it to believe it, right?
Exactly. Exactly. It's one of those. It's one of those where you're just going to think that it's a fairy tale,
right?
Given what we've seen so far, anyway. So we're definitely going to be taking the over here today.
You're the wager guy.
Yeah, right. I think 38-34.
All right, so you're close to my 38-21, except I'm the lowest one. I guess I got more faith in the defense getting turned around than everybody else. But that's not going to surprise me if it's some 44-40 or something like that. Not at all. And just remember, next is the pregame show on the Notre Dame Irish Football Network. Then it's kickoff just after 12 noon. Then after the game, make sure you join Jim on ND Overtime with all the game stats and post-game interviews. Please join us next Saturday as your Fighting Irish take on Boise State. We'll be back outside at the linebacker for all the fun with scheduled guests, including consensus All-American and NFL defensive back Bobby Taylor, also Notre Dame wide receivers Javen Hunter and Malcolm Johnson. For Jim Arizari, Eric Hansen, and Tyler Horka, this is Tim Growell. We hope you enjoyed today's show. Thank you for listening to Game Day on your home for Fighting Irish football, Sports Radio WSBT and Sunny 101.5.